Hello everyone, and welcome to the Influencer Barbie channel. We have Miss Barbie Roberts, and I am Barbie's assistant. My name is Beverly, and I am an adult Barbie enthusiast. Welcome to our Barbieverse. We create content for people who love all things Barbie as much as we do. Now, in a few of our recent videos, we have done some simple crafting using capsules from Zuru Mini Brands Create and MGA Make It Mini Miniverse capsules. Today I wanted to show you a way that we can do some crafting with items that you might consider to be trash, quote, quote. Things that you might throw away or, I hope, recycle. So what we're going to do today is to make some magazines that will go into our Barbie house. And first I wanted to point out that Barbie here is using the sewing table that came in the Barbie Fashion Designer playset that we looked at in a previous video. And I'll put a link to that below. And what I've done is I actually removed the sewing machine and I took the back off of that to give her a table where she can work at. And we are using the crafting mat from the Rainbow High Dream and Design Fashion Studio and our camera from the Barbie Color Reveal Surprise Party. So I will put links to all of those videos below. We're pulling out some of our items that we've looked at in previous videos and set them up here in our Barbie studio. So in order to make magazines for the Barbie house, my family, we subscribe to National Geographic magazine. And we'll usually get these little insert cards that have information about other National Geographic magazines that we could subscribe to. And you might see these same sort of insert cards in other magazines. And some of them are good sizes to use in the Barbie house. This particular one, since it has a design across it, this wouldn't really work because it cuts off our design. And this one here is a bit on the large side for Barbie. But I think these National Geographic inserts are going to be the right size. And I have a couple from the National Geographic Kids and the National Geographic History magazines, and I'll show you what we did for making this. I originally thought that this was going to be a really quick and easy craft to do, but I'll walk you through my original plans and what we ended up doing for what turned out to be a little bit easier way of putting this together. So what I did first was to take our inserts from the magazines, and you can see that we have 5 different covers, and since I have 2 of the inserts, I have 2 of each. So I'm going to cut this out. And a reminder, always have adult supervision when you're using sharp objects. And you could do this in a couple of different ways. If you only have one insert, you could cut these and have 2 different, have one image as being your front cover and one being your back cover. So I've cut these out. And what I decided to do was to, since I have 2 of the inserts, I'm going to pair them up so that one will be our front cover and one will be our back cover. So I've already measured this out. Since we have this nice space between the covers, this is actually going to work really well as the spine of our magazine. It's going to end up being a bit thicker than what a National Geographic magazine would actually be. So I've cut this so that we have one tab on the right hand side of the cover. And now I'm going to cut this one. I'll cut off all this extra paper on the top and bottom. So since we have the first one has our tab on the right hand side, we're going to cut this cover so the tab is on the left hand side. Our next step is to carefully fold down the tabs, and I'm trying to do this while looking through the camera and also looking around the camera so they can see it a little bit better. So I fold down one side, one tab, and then I do the same thing with this one. And that wasn't a very good fold. There we go, that's a little bit better. And then I can take a little bit of a glue stick and I'm going to apply a small amount of glue on the tab that I want to be on the inside. And then put the other cover on the outside. And we'll carefully press this down. And I found that using a ruler works well to smooth it out and make certain that your glue is nicely spread out. And then I put this under some books to kind of weight it down and make certain that everything was dry and set before I started recording our video here. So here's one that I did with the history magazine covers. You can see for these, I've done the same thing. I cut out one cover to be the front and one to be the back, and then I can glue them together. I'll fold my tabs first because that's a little bit easier to do before I've glued it. And glue them together. Now, that was the easy part for this craft. So my first thought for making these magazines was that I had also received some mailer inserts that had some pretty pictures. And I thought, well, this would be really good to be inside our magazines. So my first attempt of doing this was to cut out a bunch of small pictures that would fit inside our magazine. But I quickly discovered that this required quite a few pages in order to go in here to fill it out to the size of the spine that I've done here. Now, another way to do this so that you wouldn't have to cut out as many pictures would be to cut this right down the middle and then have one tab be your left half and then the other tab be the right half. This would mean that you'd only have to fill up about half as much to make a magazine that then the Barbie dolls could open and see different pictures in. So like I said, I very quickly discovered that that took a lot of time. So my next step that I tried was to cut out some pictures from the mailer of the outside of my National Geographic. I cut some strips that were the same size as my magazine. And then I folded these up into a little accordion that we could then glue into our magazine. And so that would be another nice way to do this, so then the dolls could actually open it up and look at some pictures. They're all pretty similar pictures, since this was all one strip from the mailer here. And like I said, this was also taking quite a bit of time and turned out to be a bit more complicated and involved than I had originally planned. So what I decided would be an easier and faster way to do this, again, I still have the magazines with the folder over tabs. This particular size, if you keep the tab that was from our original size on these magazine inserts, is the same width as some foam board that I had. So this is some scrap foam board, and I measured this out for my magazine. I cut this out using an X-Acto knife. You could, here's my X-Acto set. You could use scissors to cut this out, but it does tend to squash the foam board as you're cutting. So I did this using an X-Acto knife, and I discovered I'm not very good at drawing or cutting straight lines. So this one needs to be cleaned up a little bit here on the edges to make it a little bit smoother. But this side is pretty straight and clean. So I'm going to use this to be the inside of my magazine here. And if you cut this so it's a little bit smaller than your magazine, that's fine, because then it's a little bit like a book. If you do cut it a little bit on the large side, then you could kind of shave the sides down with your X-Acto knife. And as I said, always have adult supervision when using sharp objects. This might, if you're a young person, you might want to have your parent or other adult help you out with this bit to do the cutting. And so I'm going to take a little bit of Elmer's white school glue, and I'll put that on my edge that's not quite as straight and pretty looking, and try to do this without getting glue everywhere. I have to do this bit off camera. Okay, I've got a small amount of glue on the edge here, and I'm going to carefully place that inside my magazine and kind of hold it in place so that the glue will set. And then we'll want to give this some time for the glue to set, and it would be helpful to hold this down with a book or other heavy object to make certain that it dries in the place where we want it to. And once this is dry, then we can take some clear shiny packing tape and put that around the outside of our magazine to give it a little bit more of a shiny coat and make it look a little bit more like an actual magazine. But I'm actually rather happy with how this turned out. This will look good sitting on Barbie's coffee table, or she can set them up in her bookcase. We could also take a yellow marker or some yellow paint and paint around the outside so that our magazine would have that National Geographic yellow color to it, make it look a little bit more realistic, or even a black marker to resemble shiny black marker pages. Another way that you could do this would be to stack up some Barbie packaging or other craft paper boxes, and this would be a good way to reuse some packaging so that we are reducing, reusing, and recycling things that might otherwise be trash, quote, quote, and giving ourselves some really nice magazines to go in the Barbie house. So I'm going to make some more National Geographic history and National Geographic Kids magazines to go in our Barbie house. These National Geographic Kids magazines will be good for Barbie's younger sisters, Chelsea and Stacy, and just give us some good props for our Barbie house. Some dollhouse clutter, you might say. Well, thank you very much for watching here for our first proper crafting video that we've done here on the Influencer Barbie channel. Let me know in the comments below if you liked seeing our process for crafting these magazines, and if you'd like for us to do some more Barbie house crafting. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe below. It really does help our channel to grow, and once we hit some subscriber milestones, we plan to have some fun giveaways. And if you'd like a chance of getting a shout out in a future video, just comment below with the hashtag InfluencerBarbie. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you in our next video. Bye-bye!